Good morning and welcome to the graduation ceremony for the Indiana State Police 65th Recruit Academy. I'm Major Rick Wygand, Commander of the Training Division, and at this time I would like to introduce Father Frank Kilkline for our invocation.
Let us bow our heads in prayer. Blessed are you, Lord God of all creation, whose presence fills our hearts with joy. Blessed are you who have brought us together today to celebrate with these recruits their graduation and the taking oath of office as state troopers. Strengthen us with your grace and wisdom, Lord God, that their efforts may not only be for the good of those who they serve in their various districts, but also for all who live in this great state. Be present to us all in a special way today. Be with our elected officials, with all law enforcement personnel, sworn and civilian, active and retired, with all the family members of these recruits, and with all who serve so generously, devoting themselves to helping others in so many ways. Let us also remember those unable to be with us today due to illness or other difficulties. Be with those who have died after having served our state and our local communities, including those who have lost their lives defending our freedoms and our country. And we ask all this in God's name. Amen.
Governor Daniels, Chief Justice Shepard, Superintendent Weitzel, Indiana State Police Board Member Graves, Deputy Director Lindsay, members of the executive staff, distinguished guests, fellow officers, family, and friends. I present to you with honor the Indiana State Police 65th Recruit Academy class. The motto of the Indiana State Police Recruit Academy is excellence through discipline. During the past 23 weeks, the members of the 65th Academy class excelled academically and physically because of the discipline instilled in them by the Academy staff and fellow cadets. Most importantly, though, the cadets excelled because they developed the internal discipline needed to carry them through the Academy and into their careers as Indiana State Troopers. Their diligence has allowed them to meet and in many cases exceed the standards of excellence expected of them. All families and friends should be proud of their accomplishments and professionalism, just as we are proud of each one of them. At this time, it is my honor to introduce to you the dignitaries that will be participating in today's graduation ceremony. Governor of the State of Indiana, the Honorable Mitch Daniels. Chief Justice of the State Supreme Court, the Honorable Randall Shepard. Assistant Superintendent, Colonel Larry Rollins. Deputy Superintendent of Enforcement, Lieutenant Colonel Danny East, who unfortunately is under the weather today and not able to be with us. Deputy Superintendent of Support Services, Lieutenant Colonel Fred Pryor. Deputy Superintendent of Fiscal and Human Resources, Lieutenant Colonel Larry Larkin. Indiana State Police Board Member David Graves. Indiana State Police Board Member Jeremy Brown. And Indiana Law Enforcement Academy Deputy Director Michael Lindsay. At this time, it is now my honor to introduce to you the Superintendent of the Indiana State Police, Dr. Paul Weitzel.
Thank you. Good morning, ladies. Police Recruit School, I say congratulations. The past 23 weeks have been as arduous and as stressful as we could possibly make them. By design and purpose, we were probing you, looking for some flaw of character, some aspect of your personality that would not serve you well, both in these weeks at the recruit school as well as in your forthcoming service as Indiana State Troopers. You have fared well, and I congratulate you to reaching this point in your career. Some time ago, the governor directed me to put 50 state troopers on the road, and toward that endeavor, I hired 57. We stand here today with 36 of you who have weathered that arduous process. 21 stepped back and said, no, this career is not for me. The fact that you remained and stand here where you sit here today, where you're at in that uniform and at this precipice of your life speaks highly of your commitment, your courage, and your willingness to serve your fellow man. 2,000 years ago, a man by the name of Heraclitus was in the business of training warriors during the time of the Peloponnesian Wars. And among the things he had to say about warriors was that warriors pretty much are one like another. It is he who has been to the most severe school that prevails. Your academy experience has in many ways been the most severe school. Most police academies throughout the country, an officer has a job first, matriculates through the academy for certification to do that job. In your given case, you had no job promised. In fact, you have persevered for 23 weeks with what we call at-will employee status, which means that at any given moment your career could evaporate and you had no recourse for recovery. That in and of itself is stressful as well. You went through certification and earned a job at the same time. And that will be useful for you because many places throughout the state, other agencies will defer to you because you will always have the numbers, the equipment, the personnel, the connections to get things done in a complete and ready fashion. So I'm proud of you that you've made it this far and beyond. Before there were police officers, those who committed their lives to public service were called knights. It is no accident when you consider that the knights carried a shield over their left shoulder to protect the left side of the body when they fought on horseback. It is no accident that in a few moments I will hand you a badge that is a replica of that shield, and you will wear it on the left side of your uniform throughout the remainder of your career. The knights began their training on the occasion of their 7th birthday. Exigent circumstances and wars notwithstanding, they were not fully coronated until the occasion of their 21st birthday. They had 14 years to learn the code of chivalry. You have had 23 weeks, and it will have to be enough because you will need such chivalrous conduct in order to manage well in a free society when you have the power and authority that will soon be granted and given you. On the night before they were coronated, the knights spent the entire evening and the night through in a chapel so that they could consider the business of the morrow. Their sword rested on an altar, and then the next day was given them, as it were, with God's consideration. They wore a white smock with no adornment to symbolize two things. One, that they were not going to have a job that would bring them wealth and finery, and secondly, the white represented the purity of their intentions to put others' lives ahead of their own in life-felt service. They wore a red braided sash around the waist, same color as their life-giving blood. And during the night they were to consider that their service to others might well bring about their own injury, and they were to contract with that. They also wore brown leggings. There were other colors available, but they wore brown specifically because it's the same color as Mother Earth that would one day cover their repose. And the contract therein was that they would live a life measured by deeds rather than a life perhaps measured by years. When they came forward to be dubbed a nobleman, a man of authority, a man well placed, a man who had been in the fur, a man who was likely to go back into trouble, would stand before present company and he would declare that they were willing and worthy to carry arms in the service of God and country, and that he himself would lead them into harm's way with them on his flank. And because he had a vested interest, the documentation was their bona fide, and the other knights would let them assimilate into their number. If our prisons riot, you and I will stand next to each other, gearing up in the parking lot to go inside. If there is severe public disturbance and distress, we will stand together in tight police formations against incredible odds. If there's a natural disaster, you and I will stand side by side to make our home in a very place that's too dangerous to let anybody else come and go from. So today, with full confidence in my training staff and full confidence in you, I stand before you now and in front of present company, and I will say that you are worthy to carry arms in the service of God and country, and I will lead you into harm's way with you on my flank. And may God grant that we always have the courage to go in when everybody else is going out. 3 out of the 5 major religions of the world expect that on your day of death you will stand before your Maker and explain your time here. And for whatever else you have to account for, you will couch it with a life of certain vulnerability served for the purpose and safety and sanctity of others. That can't be bad. There is much to do. You are sorely needed. And so today, for the first time, I give you the same salute that I give all troopers I get the chance to talk in front of. And that salute is strength and honor. Do the deed. Welcome aboard. We're glad to have you. Thank you. It is now my pleasure to introduce the guest speaker for this morning. In your careers at present point in time as young troopers, you are not likely to have much intimate interaction with the governor. The duties of his office and the duties of your own are so different that there's probably not much chance of that. In my capacity, I do get intimate time with the governor. He involves our lives significantly as our commander-in-chief, and I would want you to know, and I can speak from personal experience, that he is a man who cares deeply about the Indiana State Police. He cares deeply about the men and the women who can form our numbers. He cares about your families, your safety, your equipment, your sanctity, and how we do this job. He casts no casual eye on the Indiana State Police. He is a man who ends every conversation I have with him, whether it's face-to-face or on the phone, with the same question. And that question is there anything I can do for you? And I tell you that as a superintendent, it doesn't get any better than that. It is my esteemed pleasure to introduce to you Governor Mitchell E. Daniels, Jr., our Commander-in-Chief.
Thank you, Superintendent. Thank you, friends and family. Thank you most of all, graduates of this class, my first class, one that will always be special to me for reasons I trust concisely convey to you this morning. Any such occasion must be among the most special and precious in state government. Anytime we welcome new warriors, a new front line of defense for the citizens of this state, we do so in a sense of humility, gratitude, and awe at what you have done to come this far and all the service we know that you will provide in your careers. You know, we are coming up on 3/4 of a century of the Indiana State Police. It is a proud tradition. And if you read it as I have read it, you will see that for much of its history, it was viewed coast to coast as among the most elite, professional, respected law enforcement agencies of this entire country. And I have met, traveling this state, troopers young and old and retired who have said to me, that day can come again, and should, that we have some work to do, but that we ought not rest, as I will not rest, until once again Indiana State Police is seen as a model, a paradigm for the country. You know, whatever one's view of government, whether you believe that its role should be limited or very expansive, I doubt anyone disputes that the central duty, above and beyond all others, is the protection of the life and property and liberty of the citizenry, the preservation of domestic tranquility, as the fathers wrote. And this is what you are now charged with doing. There is no higher calling. When I inventory the assignments that have come to me, the duties that I have as the employee of every citizen of this state for 4 years, I can only identify maybe 3 that stand apart from all the other important tasks we are undertaking. There are 3 which truly and literally involve life or death, or could. The protection of children, the work of the Indiana National Guard, the work of the Indiana State Police. And we therefore view these functions of government in a different way. Much as we care about all the rest, as much attention as we try to pay to every detail and support every department that serves Hoosiers, yours has a unique status for us. It is reflected in the way we treat it financially, exempt from the budget restraint that we have applied everywhere else. And in terms of the emphasis I try to bring to the support I try to provide to the superintendent, his leadership team, and each and every trooper in this department, I want you to have the very finest leadership. I believe you do. I searched this state. I asked law enforcement people at every level, who could I find that was professional enough, brave enough, big enough thinker to begin leading this department back to true excellence and national renown. And in Superintendent Paul Weitzel, seasoned law enforcement man, black belt, PhD, and a frontline leader, I believe I found that person. And in Larry Rollins and the team he has assembled, I believe we have those same qualities. They know my expectations. These are no different than the expectations I have for the leadership of our human services agencies, our motor vehicles agencies, our environmental management agencies. But I have the special expectation, in your case, of frontline leadership. Men and women who will serve, as Paul just promised to serve, with you, among you, in front of you when necessary, to put your interest first and to follow the familiar military maxim, my mission, my men, myself. I want you to have the finest equipment that we can provide. We have accelerated the 800 megahertz radio rollout on the fastest track we can. So you will have the finest communications, not only among yourselves, but to every other level of public safety with whom you may need to interact. You will have new laptops on the fastest track we can to minimize the time you take on paperwork, minimize the number of people needed in administration, allow you to concentrate on the skills you have just developed and proven yourselves capable of delivering. I want you to have as much company as possible. Our objective is 200 more troopers on the road by late next year. We are bringing them from gaming boats where I did not believe the skills of troopers were best applied. We have started a lateral hiring program to bring in seasoned law enforcement people who have proven themselves in this state or elsewhere already. And of course, this great recruit class and those that will follow in rapid succession, this department will have more tooth, less tail, more presence on the road, more of your time and your brothers and sisters' time spent on that central purpose of government, protecting the lives of your fellow citizens. This is what you're trained to do. This is what we want you doing on every possible occasion. And lastly, and I save this for last, we want you as well paid as you can be. And we found a department that lagged other states, nearby states. We will never be able to compensate you adequately for the services you will provide or the risks you will take to protect the rest of us. But we will do our best. We are determined to. And I'm happy to tell you today that through the excellent work of Superintendent Weitzel and others, We are going to be able to raise the pay of everyone in this department, a minimum of 1 3/4% at the upper ranks, but much more important, 20% for new troopers, who are our first concern. It's 20% more pay that, believe me, you will earn every dollar of. This will bring Indiana to a level at or close to its nearby peers. It will bring about more equity across the department, better pay for the frontline troops, and a more balance between those at the top and those at the front rank of our law enforcement ranks. It so happens, parenthetically, that this money comes from our recent Major Moves program, a fringe benefit thereof, in addition to a new post up along the toll road, in addition to 25 new troopers to patrol that part of the state. There was enough money earmarked in that agreement for the state police to cover this pay raise, and there's no better purpose to which that money, or any money, could have been put. I'll just tell you that I'm happy that it came in through that window, but we'd have found it anyway, because this needs to be done. I say it again, we will never be able to adequately compensate your service. We'll do our best, and today's a big step forward. So let me just say to you, well done. We salute and commend you. We are immensely proud of you. Supporting you, which is the way I think of it, is the proudest and the most important thing I do. And I want to hear from you, as I have heard from everyone from the newest trooper to the most seasoned veteran over the last 2 or 3 years, your thoughts about how the Indiana State Police can be as excellent as any such organization in America and can once again be seen as the cream of the crop, America's finest, as well as Indiana's most beloved law enforcement institution. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate it greatly. At this time, I would like to ask Chief Justice Randall T. Shepard to come forward and provide the oath of office.
I come this morning not merely on my own behalf, but on behalf of the 6,000 men and women of the Indiana court system who have likewise dedicated their own careers to the cause of peace and justice. Those men and women look forward to the time that we will spend together with you advancing that cause. I invite the members of the class to stand and raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear to promote, protect, and defend the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America. And the Constitution and laws of the State of Indiana. Against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And I will faithfully and justly discharge the law enforcement duties entrusted to me in a manner that promotes integrity, service, and professionalism. In the Indiana State Police Department. According to the best of my abilities. So help me God. Congratulations to you all. You may be seated.
This is the superintendent's award. This is the following.
Congratulations. It is our tradition that as we assess the recruit school, we reserve 2 awards to be given to that recruit that has distinguished himself in the Academy academics, and another award for the Academy Firearms program. The first award I would like to present addresses the Superintendent's Award for the top overall student in regard to academic excellence. I am told that the competition was quite keen, but there was one among your number who had an overall cumulative grade score average of 91.4, which addressed all topics such as academic law, criminal law, traffic law, police reporting, first aid, crash investigations, written tests of every kind and manner. The recipient of the award this year is Bryce A. Harris. The second award is the Firearms Proficiency Award. There are many endeavors in life that the harder you want it, and if all you need to acquire it is persistence and delayed gratification, you have the working formula to get it done. I would offer to you that with firearms proficiency, you sometimes have the antithesis of that expectation. In regard to firearms, sometimes the more you want it, the harder it is for you to acquire. The more psychologically you get upset and wantful, the more physiologically you become aroused, the blood redistributes, you lose fine motor mental skills. We call it having the monkey on your back. One cadet in particular had an absolute perfect run through 3 scores. He scored 100%, the maximum with the handgun. We had several actually who did that, but we also tied into this award the proficiency with the shotgun, and that's an altogether different weapon. It's much more cumbersome, and it'll punch you back. And there we had the same cadet who came forward with an absolutely perfect score with every qualifying round with the shotgun as well. So at this point in time, I'd like Brent D. Likens to come forward for the Firearms Proficiency Award.
We will now present the members of the class with their Indiana State Police badge, officer identification, values coin, oath of office, and Indiana Law Enforcement Academy certification. Anyone that is in the audience that is interested in coming up to take a photograph is asked to do so. However, I would also ask that you please not interfere with the procession of officers moving to and from the stage. Thank you.